Now we need to engage partners. We need to, figure out who's going to do what, and who's going to do what in the medium term and in the long term. So basically, yes, PSI will not be responsible for doing it. Obviously, we want some of the market players to be capacitated to do some of these things, and that's the idea behind the sustainability vision. If you don't have a sustainability vision where you depict how the market will function in the medium or the long term, you're basically keeping yourself, a day job. Like we're going to do everything. Well, no, we're not going to do everything. So that's why we need to lay out. So, okay, if we're not going to do everything, who will do what, and who will do what when? So there's a time component here, like there's a time frame that needs to be laid out. So let's talk a little bit about sustainability of our interventions in that case, because we are in a filtering process, so we have prioritized market failures, and we came up with key intervention areas. So basically, this is what we have decided to work on to influence the market. It's not, the entire things that needs to happen in the market. It is coming from a prioritization process. So what do we mean by sustainability of our interventions? Well, sustainability, again, back to this idea of capacity and incentive, right? So basically, our view is that our interventions need to really improve the capacity of all market players to play their role in the market according to the production to use spectrum, right? And we need to make sure that this is supported by an enabling environment, and that's why we have these rules and supporting functions, all right? But what we want is to make sure that when we do our interventions, we keep in mind the fact that the ultimate audience for this is Sarah. And if we want a sustainable market, is that until we haven't met the perfect inner circle with the larger circle, use over need, it needs to keep on doing, it needs to keep on working, and it needs to keep on working by itself pretty much, with us doing something in the market, and we'll figure it out why. It might not be being an actor, it might be, facilitating or working with other partner, enabling other partner. So this sustainability vision of our intervention is actually very important, and we have a very neat way of doing this. And it's called the who does, who pays table. So the who does, who pay table is just a table that will help you depict the current players and who's incentivized to do what. So who has the capacity, who's doing the things now in the market, and who pays for it, so the incentives. And then you will need to lay out the desired outcome, desired view, vision of your market down the road. And so you will have that same table, but you will frame that table with a sense of, once we will have done these interventions, what are the desired or the expected look of the market? So what do we have in a sustainability table, which is the intervention sustainability analysis framework that we call. So this is for intervention. Basically, you have the current situation, and so you have to lay out your functions, all of the functions that you will be working on. So the functions, are you going to put just core functions, product, price, place, promo, or you're going to be a little bit more specific? And if you're going to be more specific, where are you going to take the specific aspect, do you think? So you will take the interventions from your key area interventions, right? So these are basically what you want the market to, you want to improve these functions of the market, like your forecasting and importation and stock management. So basically you will lay out in this table the key intervention area, and you will ask yourself, so who does importation today? PSI. Who pays? Unitaid. Do we want to keep that for the rest of the next 15 years? Well, no. So who will do in the future? Importers, right? And who will pay? Exactly, the market, right? They will make money out of it, margins, right? So they will import because there's business behind it. So you have a current vision. PSI currently imports MRDT because we have donor money. For now, it's okay. In the future, what we want to work improving the capacity in forecasting, stock management, and all of these intervention area, so that importers will import MRDT. They will have the forecasting capability. They will know what are the specs of the MRDT that needs to be imported. They will know the volume that needs to be imported, and they will be able to avoid stackouts. So they will be capacitated, they will have the incentives to do what they're supposed to do. They're already doing it for drugs. Why wouldn't they do it for MRDT? So the vision of the future is that these importers will basically keep on importing because demand is there, and so supply will meet demand and use will increase, and we will meet the need more and more and more and more. So that's the idea of a sustainability vision and a sustainability plan. So you have to lay out that in these two tables. It's quite simple actually, but that's where the partners comes into play. Because the who does in the future, well, guess what? Importers are no PSI. So if you want to work to improve the capacity and the incentive of the importers, what do you need to do? Are you PSI? Do you train importers in stock management? Or do we perhaps have another partner who's better positioned to do that? If you have policy-related priorities, is PSI going to engage in influencing policies? Well, there are other partners out there that are way better than we are. And the case example in Madagascar was working with WHO. Working with WHO actually led the team in Madagascar influence the policy so that pharmacists were able to test and use MRDT in pharmacies. And that wasn't done by PSI. That was done because we asked WHO, hey guys, can you help us get that policy in place? Of course we'll do it, because that's what we do, we influence policy. So it's wonderful to see that when you have a good understanding of who are the players in the market, and you can map these players, and you can see where are their strengths, you can basically use them. And then we become facilitator of the market. We're not actors, we become facilitators. And things move quite fast, to be honest. I mean, this policy change in Madagascar didn't take 5 years. So I know that DRC is facing the issue. But again, it's finding the right partner. It's finding the right actor in the market to really be able to, an indirect actor, to be able to influence the direct actor in the market. Okay? So that's why when you design your future vision of the market, you have to ask yourself, are the actors that I want to work with, or the partners I want to partner with, do they have the capacity and the incentive to do it? Because if they don't have the capacity and incentive to do it, so I don't want to say the word, but so we have this, what we call the skill will matrix. So basically, what you need to do, one thing we realized in Madagascar is that we have a tendency in malaria control to only work with the NMCP. Well, guess what? MRDT are fever testing. And you can have multiple causes of fever, not just malaria. So engaging only with the NMCP with RDT, we realized that maybe wasn't the only partner within the NIH that we needed to engage with, especially when it comes to forecasting of commodities and everything. So what we did is that we basically did a brainstorming exercise to see, based on the intervention areas that we have, what are all the partners that needs to be engaged to improve forecasting, to improve stock management, to improve quality assurance, to all these blue boxes that you saw in the nice summary matrix. And that basically, we came up with like partners that in day one weren't even addressed in the group. And during the last day of the workshop, then there was this new acronyms popping up, like what is this group? Oh well, this group deals with forecasting for the public sector, but they're also involved when the global fund comes in to measure the gaps in terms of forecasting in the private sector. I'm like, why in the hell haven't you mentioned this before? And so, well, when you work in stock, forecasting and stock management, you're like, I mean, it was obvious for me, it wasn't for the team. So this exercise of brainstorming the potential partners that we don't naturally think of, because you have the intervention area, really helps the team. It spurs creativity. Suddenly, everyone knows all the partners in Madagascar, and we had a bunch of partners that then we said, okay, what about these partners? Do they have a capacity or do they have an incentive problem? Where would they fit on this matrix skill wheel? And so, well, this is just one step of the process that I'm showing, but basically you have all the partners and you ask the team to just assess using the skill with the skill wheel matrix, like the capacity or incentive. And as you can see, United is on the far up left corner because, high capacity, they fully embrace private sector development. But incentive zero, they're cutting us off. So, but guess what? You look also at, for example, on the upper right corner, you have Global Fund and World Bank that came up. And no one thought of tapping into these, Global Fund obviously thought of tapping into them, but not World Bank. And so basically this matrix, the beauty of this matrix is it forces you to ask the questions. And the questions are here, is that why do they have a capacity problem? Why do they have an incentive problem? And if they are on the upper right corner, you basically ask the questions, why aren't we engaging them already? Why aren't we working with them already? And so basically that really gives you, we didn't thought of it. Okay, well, guess what? In the work plan, we want to see something where you will engage with these partners. So the simple skill will matrix for mapping your partners that are related to your key intervention area is wonderful and works very well with us. So if you see, for example, on the core function of the future states of the market, one thing that we said, for example, look at the training 3.1. I don't know if you see it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th line. So training on MRDT talks about quality assurance, right? It's about doing not only things right, remember, like the efficiency, the capacity and the confidence to test with MRDT. Currently, we are doing it as part of the Unitate project. And one solution could have been to say, well, the public sector could train the private sector providers on, quality assurance. But again, knowing how dysfunctional the public sector is even in doing QA in their own health sector, like the public sector, we said, well, why don't we have this vision of success of the market where manufacturer does the first shot of training? We have pharma companies, Sanofi, Novartis, they have their own medical detailers and they go and they just, train providers on using their antibiotics or whatever, their drugs. Why can we not imagine a market where the manufacturer would do this first push as well? So is it easy? Is it short term? Oh no, it's not easy and it's not short term. So that's why we put a filter, a time filter on this vision of success. And so we have a end of project, EUP, which is yellow. So you see it's quite humble in terms of what will be achieved. Obviously there's only 4 months left, so we don't have much time. So we are humble in choosing that's what we will be achieved in the end of project. Then there's the long-term project, and then there's the medium thing. And you see the long-term is having manufacturer engaged in doing the training, or at least this initial approach. That's a huge mental shift from the MRDT manufacturer who are now surfing on a public sector market. So basically they see no need or they have no interest in engaging with the private sector because volumes are so small. They say, why would I send someone to train? Why would I pay my importer or my distributor to pay for a medical retailer to be the one who's training? But if we move from a low volume, high margin market to a high volume, low margin market, then the incentives shift. And that's the idea of transforming markets, right? And that's where we can actually play a significant role. So remember, sustainability is not just about this food as a pay table. It's very important to understand that this is kind of a compass for you to go through your intervention and understand what you want to achieve. And sustainability is really built in throughout this TMA process. And the interventions that you are designing are addressing market failures. But these market failures, you want to address them because you want to improve market performance. And by improving market performance, that's the logic of the theory of change, that you want to increase use over need, you want to improve use over need. And sustainability is not just about giving one big push to increase use, it's continuously having this system working. So it's kind of a loop, right? It's kind of a until we haven't met this, use of the two circle perfectly overlapping, then we need to keep on looking at the market and looking at the functions that can be improved and looking at the players with whom we can work and engage in doing all this. So sustainability is basically this, total market approach. This is sustainability. It's not just the who does who pay table in the future. Okay? Any questions?